So a lot of you want to get started with content creation, but then you all have this idea that your Android phone can't actually give you a great video quality. Well, that's not really the truth. Despite some Android phones, mostly the flagship versions, not giving great video quality, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can do something to better your video quality. As this video I'm watching right now is being shot on my Redmi 13C. So for those of you who know the Redmi 13C, you know that the Redmi 13C gives a good video quality, but not really that good. But then if you look at this video quality, it's quite different from the normal one you get with a Redmi 13C, mostly when you are shooting from a dark area. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some few things you can actually do in order to actually make your video quality look a bit better, no matter how bad your camera looks. Like for example, I'm shooting with the Redmi 13C right now. Here's the iPhone I normally use to shoot. This is to tell you that what you don't always need an iPhone to shoot. At times, that your Android phone is just all you need, but you simply have to make some little editing in order to get a better video out of it. So with this already said, without taking much of your time, let me switch over to my iPhone and I share with you some things you can actually do on your Redmi phone and some things you can do in your video editor to make your poor Android videos pretty much look a bit better than the original one that you shot with your phone. So hello guys, now that you're on my phone, let me share with you some good camera settings you can actually do to actually make your videos look a bit more better than the usual ones that you get with a natural camera. So the first thing you need to do is I need to come over to your video session. Now, I don't know how your phone does there, so I'm using the Redmi 13C, so it's just this drop down here. Now once you click on it, you can see the resolution here. You can see it. Make sure it's at 1080p and not 720. 720 will not give you great video quality, so make sure it's at 1080. Now the next up is simply the aspect ratio. Now for the aspect ratio, if you are using a Redmi phone, don't set it. Just leave it as a 9:16 that it is. Don't use the widescreen. Even though you want to shoot on rotation, don't change to the widescreen. Keep it at the 9:16 that it is, and then just rotate your camera. That will give you a better wider shot, which will give you a better view also. Now next up, you can see where it says macro. Yeah, always make sure that this macro is actually disabled. Keep it off. The reason why you should keep it off is that if you want to use this one, you need to be at a distance to actually make a shot. So if you are sitting close to your camera like the way it does, just keep it like this and leave every other settings like this. Next, I'll come over to the settings tab. Now let me go over there. Let me just go over to the settings tab here. Now inside here, you can see where it says picture quality. Keep your picture quality at high and not standard. Let it be there always. Mirror front camera, don't let it mirror front camera. When it mirrors front camera, one thing I notice is that your video looks to be in reverse. Like if you are facing this side, they'll do it in a way as if you are facing this other side. So I've noticed something of such, so I had to turn off my mirror front camera feature. I don't know if it's the cause, but I had to turn that off. Now auto frame rate, so reduce frame rate for videos in low light or high temperature environment automatically. So this one you can keep it off. Personally, I would say you should keep it off so that the video will stay at 30 frame rate per second. But for me, where I'm shooting the video is not really that hot, and then my lighting also is quite okay because I'm using just a ring light, and then there's no any other light interfering, so that one can maintain the frame rate. But in case whereby you are shooting your video in a warm area, you need to keep this off because once the phone is getting warmer, it will actually reduce the frame rate to reduce the stress on the phone itself. Now video encoder, just keep it as what it is. So if your phone has this H.264 high compatibility, then just go with it so that you can edit your video on any device at all without having any problem. Now these are all of the settings you actually need to do in here to actually help do that. Now after all of this, the next thing you need to do is actually in your video editor. That's where we'll do some color grading and then some sharpening to actually make your video look a bit sharper and better. So let's go straight on my CapCut. Let me show you how you can actually do that as well. Now that we are inside CapCut, let's actually see some things we can actually do to make our video look a little bit better than the initial one we shot. So for that, I'll just click on the import button and then come and import the video over here. So here is it. Now let's look at the ones I shot with the iPhone on different days, not today actually. Let's actually see and try to see what exactly is different from the two main videos. You can see the one of iPhone have this warm filter which this other one lacks, you see. So now how do we get this done? Well, simply come over to your CapCut here, and by default it will be over here at this home tab here. Now what you can simply do from here is that first of all turn on this stabilize feature. Now what this stabilize feature does is it simply helps stabilize the video a little bit, because most videos aren't that stable. So this stabilize feature will actually help you get that done, which will give your video a little bit more stable appearance. Because the 100 camera, honestly speaking, most flagship 100 cameras, when you're shooting video with them, it's not really that stable. That's why I can use this feature to actually help you make it a little bit more stable with the lighting and all of that. So next up, you see where it says reduce image noise. Just set it to strong. Now all this you are doing is to actually try and make the video look a little bit more natural. So let me pause this whilst waiting for the stabilize to complete. So now you simply have, once you click on this stabilize, like, you simply have to wait till here counts up to 100%. Once it counts up to 100%, now you come over to reduce image noise also. Turn it on, set it to strong. Level should be as strong. And then motion blur. This one is not really important, so you don't have to stress yourself. Now after you come over to retouch, so maybe you want to retouch your face and all of that, you can actually do all of that here. Like, come over here, say allow CapCut to recognize your facial and body feature for retouching. Your media won't be uploaded to our server. Allow. So this one will pick the single person, and then smoothing. So you can use to smooth the face. So this one will help you smoothing the face a little bit.
You can do something to bet.
Take a look at it, and then let me remove this one from the iPhone actually. Let me delete the iPhone on from it, and then drag out this same video into it. Now let's take a look at something here. Look at it over here, and then look at this over here. Let me post it at a stable point. So you can see all this effect you are adding. You simply have to use this smoothness, and then brighten. No need to brighten it as it's already bright enough. No need to add more brightening effect again. It will make it worse. So if your video look different from mine, you can actually use different effects. So you just simply have to look through the effect tab and then use different effects. Just make sure that what. So for me, this video right now, what my camera did that I don't like is that my camera is over sharpening, like it's too sharp. So you can see my videos, you can see everywhere, it's just too sharp. So that's why I'm trying to use this one to actually adjust the face a little bit. Now next up is that I'll come over to this particular part here, known as the adjustment tab. Now in the adjustment tab, all you simply have to do is that, now if your camera is like all those cameras that will make your video look really cool, like most of your videos look like this, they look really so cool and dull. Well, what you can do in this sort of video is that you simply have to come over to the tempo and then raise the temperature a little bit. Like you can see, raise the temperature a little bit, and then your tint. So you can see this one, just drag it upward a little bit. Look at the video quality now.
On my Redmi 10.
You see, and then saturation. You can also increase the saturation to give that warm filter that a lot of iPhone actually use a lot.
So for those of you who know the Redmi 13C, you know the
more warmer.
Redmi 13C gives a good video quality.
Only apply this effect when CapCut is actually done with the stabilization. Only do this once after that. So I can't wait for that to be completed during the tutorial. That's I'm just showing you what to do right now. Now exposure, if you see that your video is, maybe you shot your video in a very dark place and you want it, like you really want it to be a little bit more exposed,
not really that good.
Like maybe you have a dark video like this and you want to give it some lighting, that's when you make use of the exposure. Like for me, my video is already light enough, so I'm going to drop the exposure a little bit.
This video quality is quite different from the normal one you get with a Redmi.
So you can see how cooler the video is becoming. Now the contrast, if you take it backward, your video will become blur. So if you take it upward, your video will become really warm. So just keep it at a reasonable level. Reduce the saturation. Add a little bit of contrast to it. And then highlight. Take your highlight downwards. So for me, you can see, take the highlight down. You can see how the video is becoming now. Now let's take a look at that video. And then here's the original one we shot earlier on. Look at the one we shot earlier on. And then look at the one we are adding the effect right now. You can see that there's huge difference between these two things. So now these things here, one thing as I already said is that your video quality might look different from mine, so it might require different things to make it look a bit better. So what I'm just telling you is that you just have to play around with these stuffs here in order to get how you can actually make it look stand out. Like whites, turn it downwards a little bit so that the video doesn't look so white. Blacks, just keep it the way it is. Brilliance, so you just have to play with it to see how well it goes. So once you get a perfect look for your video, that becomes
You
it.
can
Like,
do
take a
something
look.
to
How
better your
can you
video
compare this
quality.
video
As
to
it
the old one again? Not at all. Take a look at this one here. Look at where we are now and look at the initial one that we shot. So all it simply takes you to get this done is simply going through this editing process, like sharpening. So some of you, your videos will look really blur. It's not really that sharp. Well, for those of you, you can come and use this sharpening effects to make your video sharp. What the sharpening effect does is that it simply brings out the details in the video. And my camera has already done that, so I'll just keep it down. And then the clarity, I'll just raise it a little bit to 9. Particles. Now, you see the particles, it simply bring dust. So some of your videos look so white and pale. Well, for those of you who have so much white videos, you can simply add a little bit of particles to it to make the background a little bit noisy and make the video look natural a little bit. And now fade, I normally don't use this fade feature, so it's not really necessary. So now take a look at this video right now.
quality, as this video I'm watching right now is being shot on my Redmi.
Look at it right now. And then let's look at this other one right now from the same place.
So a lot of you want to get started with content creation.
Let me quickly go back to that. Look at this part. Just look at it and then look at this part, which is the original one we shot. They are no more on same level again. Like, they are no more on same level again. This is simply the things you simply do to make your video look a little bit better off. Remember, the first thing I told you is that on the videos tab, come over to the face retouch and then try add. If your face is not really smooth, you can use the smoothing feature. And if your face is not bright enough, you can also brighten it up. Yeah. And after that, also remember to turn on, come over to the basic and make sure that this one is turned on stabilize. Now once you turn on stabilize, set it to recommend, or you can go for more stable, either of that, because most Android cameras aren't stable when shooting. Now reduce image noise. Also, once the stabilizing is done, you can also reduce the image noise, and you see that your face will become a little bit smoother and the whole video will become a little bit smoother than it was originally. Now after that, you come over to the color adjustment, and then when you come over to the color adjustment, each of these things you see here have their own reason. If your video, here is the temperature. The temp stands for temperature. So if your video is really cool, you need to make it a little bit warmer. So for that, you simply have to drag this bar here to the yellow side a little bit. And then the tinting, what the tinting simply does, like, let me reduce the tinting right now. You see how the video looks. But when I increase the tint, you see that the video looks somehow a little bit more pinkish, a bit purplish. I don't even know how to describe this, but it made the video look a little bit better than the original shot, you see. Now after that, you can actually come here. The exposure, if your video is really dark, where you can increase the exposure to make it look brighter. For me, my video is already bright, so I just have to reduce the exposure a little bit so that people can actually see. Now the contrast also make your video, you can see what it does to your video. It makes your face hot, makes some parts really hot, and then keep some parts the way they are. So for me, I normally keep it medium. And highlight simply some excess light around your background that is not really needed. So to make your image stand out, you can simply drag down the highlight, you see. Now it makes your face stand out over the background. That is the purpose of the highlight. And your shadow, like if I take the shadow down back, you can see. So the shadow also, don't take it too much. If you take it too much, it becomes too bright. So keep it moderate like this. Now simply play with all of these stuffs here to actually give your video that vibe that you actually need to make it look good. So this is simply how I get to shoot my videos on Android, and I use my smartphone, use my CapCut to make them look a bit better. Look at the original shots. Now look at this one. Look at this one. Big difference. You can see the big difference. Now for those of you who want a one-on-one course on this as well, you can actually contact me by, you can join the Telegram, the WhatsApp group that will be in this video description, and then you can also contact me through there, and then for a one-on-one mentorship and all of these stuff that I actually shared here. So you don't have to go and buy the latest iPhone to actually do all of this. All you simply have to do is that learn a little bit of this video editing. Is very important. Like if I'm to use Adobe Premiere Pro before, I would have gotten a better quality than even what I've gotten so far with the CapCut. Now after all of this, to avoid stressing yourself, one thing you can do is that simply come over to where it says save as preset. Now all the settings you made right now will be saved as preset. Now let me go show you exactly where they get saved to. Now if you come over to my space here, now when you save as preset, make sure that you log in CapCut. Make sure that you log in CapCut, and then not just having CapCut over there. So for me, I normally log in CapCut. That's why you see that what I have the preset saved in here. So let me go back to the home page. You can see that my CapCut account is logged in. So for that reason, I can actually access all the filters that I've created as presets. So you see, so anything that I know that I'm going to use again, you can see test presets, test effect that I've created. Anything that I know that I'm actually going to use again, I normally save it. Now here are these things, the retouching that I did right now. Here's where they got saved to. So you can also do the same thing and then make your videos look way better than the original way they were. So now you see, you have a top quality video over here, better than the original one. So this already said, have a lovely day. Bye. Remember, you don't need an expensive gadget to actually start doing content creation. You just have to learn a little bit of editing to make it look better.